My name is Florence King, and I'm with the All Under Law Group. And today I wanted to give you some tips on hurricane preparedness. Given that we have currently experienced several hurricanes already, and we are currently experiencing a pandemic, we wanted to go over some tips on what we typically do for hurricane preparedness, but also go over some additional tips that you can do to prepare for the hurricane that also go with the COVID-19 that you would have to take the additional steps that you would have to take to prepare for the hurricane that are COVID-19 compliant as well. So let's go through the list. Number one is stock up on cleaning supplies. Most stores are having a limit on how much cleaning supplies you can get. So you want to make sure that you start early and start buying those cleaning supplies. For example, Clorox wipes, they are really hard to get right now. That's like the hottest item to get in stores. So you can either go board members, start buying, get your residents involved in shopping for the association. Bleach, that's another item you want to start stocking up on, and let's get prepared for hurricanes and stock up on those cleaning supplies. The next one is what I call the COVID supply list. Hand sanitizers, soap, disinfectant spray, disinfectant wipes, face masks, toilet paper. You want to make sure you stock up on that, because not only for the association as a whole, for that if you decide you want to shelter, but also for your residents, because as an association, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your residents. So you want to try and make sure you have your COVID supply list. So that's number two. Number three is I recommend that you purchase non-electronic locks. You never know what you are going to have to lock up for your association. So purchase non-electronic locks. I know we live in a very digital era and a lot of things are turning digital, but you want to make sure that you have non-digital locks. So that then if you have to keep things secure, not just for the association, but for your residents, remember that you're a community, you want to take care of your community. You have a way to secure items that you need to secure. So not that you only have the locks, but have a place to lock things up. So make sure you have a secure place to lock things up and an appropriate lock that you can lock. I do not recommend getting combination locks because inevitably people forget those combinations. So get something with a key and have more than one key, so that then two people will have those keys. And we've had this situation before where one person has both keys, and that is not a safe thing to do. So have two people that have the two different keys and make sure you know who has the keys to those locks. Number four, ensure your building plans, blueprints are in a safe location and you know where they are. This comes into play in case there is damage and you need to know where those are located. That becomes an issue when you have to have insurance claims and people want to know where they are. You want to make sure that your residents are safe and they know that you're working in as fast as possible to get things taken care of in case there is damage. You don't want to have to try and look for those things when something happens. You want to make sure that you know where these plans are located. A good place to start is with your management company if you have a management company. Or if you're self-managed, then they should be with the official records of the association. Look at those plans. Make sure you know where they are located. I would not recommend keeping them on site, because if a hurricane hits, you want to make sure they are secure and they are not on site where they can also get destroyed. But know where they are located, so that then in case of and anything happens, you know that you can go and get to those blueprints as needed. Number five, confirm that all your association data is being regularly backed up into a cloud or off-site. This is very important because you want to make sure the association records are stored and are being backed up somewhere and can be accessed in case of an emergency. What we mean by that is all your association, the register of the association ledgers, all of that is being backed up somewhere. If you have a management company, talk to your management company. If it's self-managed, then talk to whoever is maintaining your association records. You want to make sure you know how your association records are being stored. The custodian of your record should know if it's being backed up to the cloud, where is that data being recorded? Is it being backed up only in the state of Florida? Is it being backed up? If it's been backed up in the cloud, well, where is that being stored? You want to make sure you know where your records are being stored. If it's backed up to a physical server, then where is that being saved? Make sure then you have a physical copy of the data tape that data is being stored on, and that it's being backed up daily, and that you have 2 copies of that record, so that then you know physically that you have a copy of that data. In case something happens, you have access to those records, because that is your association records, and as a board, you are fiduciary responsible for those records. Number 6, have paper copies of the association's insurance policies, so that then if something happens, you are not waiting for the backups of those records in order to file a claim. You have the physical copies of those insurance policies, because you don't want your residents to be calling and saying, hey, there was damage, what do we have to do? You already have the policies ready and to go. So don't wait for those to get the digital copies, and then you're trying to get access to a printer, or you're trying to get access to, because there's no internet access, and you cannot get access to your records. Number 7, keep handy a list of all your bank account numbers, branch locations, and authorized signature cards. It's very, very important to have access to all of that. And then also make sure you have access to cash, because if there's no power, guess what? No access to bank accounts, no access to ATM machines, which means you cannot get cash out of the ATMs. And also, you might want to have a board meeting and then get potentially think about increasing the petty cash amount, so that then you have cash access in case you have to authorize tree removal and you need petty cash, extra cash on hand. So as a board, you might want to talk about that depending on the circumstances of your particular association. As a board, you have to decide that depending on your association. Number 8, update your contact list for your owners. As a board, you want to make sure you know where your residents are going to be. Not all residents are going to be on site, so you want to make sure not only you know where the residents' contact information who are there, but also where they are going to be, so that then you can contact them. For condominium associations, it's very, very important that you have access to the condo units. So make sure you have a key to every condo unit. You do not want to be having to break down into the units in order to get access if there is a breakage in pipes, or if there's damage, that you have to get into the unit in order to make sure that the rest of the building is safe. So make sure you have permission and that you have a copy of a key to every condo unit. So make sure that is taken care of before any hurricane actually hits. So make sure any condo documents are reviewed, and whatever has to be done is done prior to any hurricane actually hits, so that then you have access to every unit. Number 9, update your vendor lists and print out and place it in a safe location, because you want to make sure you know your vendors ahead of time, because that is going to be very important. Also, you want to make sure that you review and take a look at who is available for tree removal or any emergency vendors in your area, and get to know who they are, because in case of an emergency, that is not when you want to be looking up who you are going to be contacting in case you need the vendor. You want to be doing your research now, not at the time you need them, so that then they already know you, you already made the contact, and that way then in case of an emergency, you're going to be the first person that they're going to be looking to, not because otherwise, if the hurricane has hit, they're already going to have contracts that they've already made, and you're going to be at the bottom of the list. So make those contacts now, do your research, get referrals, start early. Number 10, make a decision as an association if you are going to find a place in your association where you are going to provide shelter during the hurricane. Now, remember that because we are in the middle of a pandemic, you have to be able to provide for social distancing as well. So if you are going to be able to provide for that, then you want to make sure you're letting your residents know. If you are not going to be able to provide for that, then you want to make sure you're letting your residents know with ample notice that you are not going to be providing shelter if you have been in other hurricane seasons. You also want to keep in mind that because of COVID-19, that the counties and the cities have changed their typical shelter locations as well. So you want to make sure your residents are aware that some of the shelters in the cities and counties have changed this year, and you want to make sure all your residents are aware that the shelter locations may have changed. Number 11, I would recommend that at least one more board member download the FEMA app, which allows insurance companies to provide estimates without an in-person visit. So it would be very helpful for at least one person to do that. Number 12, keep in mind that if there's a hurricane, there's a very likely chance that the associations are going to lose power. With COVID-19, we also need to keep in mind that the power companies have to also comply with the COVID-19 social distancing requirements, which means it's probably going to take a lot longer for the power to come back on. So you want to make sure that the association is prepared for the longer power outages, which means you as a board want to make sure that you're taking care of your residents. And so you want to be prepared for this. Inform your residents of this. Make sure that you want to do your due diligence, take extra precautions. As a community, are you required to do more? No, but as a community, do you want to do more? That is really up to you. So do you want to take the extra time, takes extra effort? It's really up to each association. Generators, if you have the capability, get them. Fuel, ice, flashlights, extra cash, it's really up to each association. But you just want to be aware of it. Shelter locations, we already covered that. If you're going to not provide shelters, again, you want to provide information though, and how you're going to provide this information is going to be key. You want to make sure if you're going to provide in writing, if you're going to provide via phone line, you want to make sure your residents know how this information is going to be provided, how they can contact the association for this information. Whether it's via Facebook, whether it's via a phone line, whether it's via only in writing, via email, or whether it's via the clubhouse. Make sure you follow the COVID guidelines. If they can come to the clubhouse, you want to make sure you're following the state county guidelines on social distancing. If it's a hotline, you want to make sure that the owners, residents are getting their calls back. You do not want where the owners are calling, leaving messages and not getting a call back, because residents want to have information and you want to make sure they're getting that information. If they have to only provide emails, you want to make sure those emails are being answered within a reasonable amount of time. Especially as if there's a hurricane approaching, it shouldn't be 24 hours because the hurricanes, yes, are not going to wait 24 hours to hit. So you want to make sure residents are getting proper communication. The more information they get, the better. So try and keep your residents as updated as possible. Keep your association residents as informed on what help your association is giving. Contact your attorneys. It's very important to contact your attorneys before you do what you're going to do. After the fact, yes, your attorney can help you, but it's always cheaper for the association to contact them before. A lot of times associations do without contacting the attorneys because they think they can save money by not contacting the attorney, but they end up spending more money when they have to contact the attorney to fix it. So contact your attorney and let them know what you want to do. Make sure that whatever you want to do is legal, and find out the legalities, especially with the pandemic going on what you want to do and how you want to get it done. They can help you with the verbiage of the letters that you want to send out to your residents. It's so key on the communication that you send out to your residents right now, and during the hurricane season, and what you're going to provide to your residents during this hurricane season. Predetermine a staging area for debris if a hurricane hits, so that then you know ahead of time on what you're going to do. Sorry, if a hurricane hits, so that then if something happens, everybody knows exactly what's going to happen, where the debris is going to be collected, so that then you're going to minimize danger to the residents even after the hurricane hits. And then even the residents know how they are going to clean up their own debris, so that then everybody knows, okay, this is where I need to put whatever comes into my yard as well, so that then everybody's under the same plan. Print out the instructions, post it, send it to each owner, post it clearly in your neighborhood, make sure everybody is aware. Make plans to shut down the clubhouses in time again, but communicate, but make sure you talk to your attorney first, make sure the communication is legal, and make sure it's done appropriately. Confirm that all drainage areas and lines are working in full capacity. It's going to be crucial that these are functioning properly before a hurricane hits, because clogged drainage is going to be a really bad situation in case of a hurricane. And even heavy rains, because even if you don't have a hurricane, but we can see the thunderstorms that are hitting right now can be significant damage to your association. So you want to make sure that you're doing a proper due diligence and making sure that your association drainage is functioning properly. If you have a manned gate, make sure that the attendant and the residents know what the point of attendant will be, when the attendant will be sent home, and how that is going to be handled in case of a hurricane. It's again, communication is going to be key, and make sure everybody knows what's going to happen and when. Buy battery operated walkie-talkies. You never know when phone lines are going to be down. You don't know how cell phone reception is going to be. So you want to make sure that you have key communication with key personnel in case a hurricane hits. So you want to make sure that you have a way of talking to each other. That's going to be key. And again, talk to your attorneys, talk to each other. Board member communication is going to be key. If you have a manager, you want to make sure you're communicating with your manager constantly during this time. The pandemic is something that we have to deal with. We don't have a choice. Stay safe, and talk to your residents. They are there to keep them safe, and we are here to help you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we are here to help you as well. Thank you.